The thoughts, opinions, and general overall shade thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your host, Jason Beck, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Good morning, everybody. That's right. It is Friday, September 12th, and today is National Day of Encouragement Day today, you guys.
The nation needs some encouragement right now.
Yeah, right? Right?
Yes.
Didn't you guys, is Jenny Beth not with us yet?
She's here.
I'm here.
Oh, she is there. Okay, all right.
She's just not on camera.
Okay, all right. All right, she's ghosting today.
I'm just a figment of your imagination.
She's the co-hostess, ghostess with the mostest.
Yeah, you don't even want me to go there, but nonetheless, it's also National Hug and High Five Day.
Aw.
Oh, well, too bad we're not in physical presence with each other. I would do that with all y'all.
I'm with the high fives. With the high fives.
You're a hugger, Jason.
You're with high nines, bro.
Yes. High nines. Yes. Oh, that's good, Jesse. I like that. The two hands. Yeah.
That's Jerry's double hand.
Tuck the thumb, right? Just tuck one thumb.
Yeah.
Oh man. It's also National Just One Human Family Day today, you guys. We're all one human family, you guys. We're all one human family. We're all just gonna need to come together. You know what I mean? Especially in the wake of the tragic events of the last 48 hours.
This is true.
Yeah. It's also, Dr. Talleyrand, I'm so glad you jumped in for this because today is National Report Medicare Fraud Day.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll keep my eyes and ears open.
That's right.
Will you be celebrating, Dr. T?
I celebrate every day.
I'm with that. Remember, Dr. T, pinkies up, okay? Pinkies up all the time. It's also National Video Games Day for all you video gamers that are just going to sit around on your couch and eat potato chips all weekend.
Nerds.
Mm-hmm.
All my kids are in.
Yeah. And Jenny, you're going to love this. It's National Chocolate Milkshake Day.
I told you I'm more vanilla than chocolate.
You're not equal parts.
I'm equal parts, but I prefer. I'm not a big chocolate person.
You prefer vanilla?
I do prefer vanilla shake.
You know that's not something that people usually admit.
Well, that's fine, but you know.
Interesting. Well, thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. You can look up above and down below to see exactly where we live on the internet. And we are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, X, Instagram, Facebook, Kick, as well as on our very own website at www.highat9news.com. So welcome to everyone joining us from any one of those platforms. And we are kicking it off with Miss Jenny Beth Dills. She's playing Casper today. She's trying to ghost us, but she can't just stay away. She is the founder of Kind Cannabis and of Justice Served, a 501c3 that helps justice-impaired individuals get their lives back on track after they've been victims of the track and wish they could disappear like Jenny Beth. That's right, it is none other than Miss Jenny Beth Dills.
All those things. Happy Friday, everybody. Okay, so today that was a dumbass move. My story comes out of Pittsburg.
Hold on, full disclosure. This is the town that I grew up in. This is
Yes.
this is Pittsburg, California. There is no H.
Yes, Jason.
Oh,
I
thank you for
understand.
that clarification.
Just wanted to make sure. You know, I didn't want you to get
Well-
confused, Jesse.
Why don't you let me do my story? And when it says in the East Bay, we would have known that, huh?
Look, I'm just letting people know because people get
Hey,
confused.
Jason.
People
we
get
don't need to
confused
know that
easily.
You know a guy.
People get confused easily, Jenny Beth.
Let me do my damn story.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Go ahead. Proceed. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, do you want to read it? Thursday morning uncovered something far more than a robbery. At 6 a.m., police responded to a report of 3 men breaking into a home on Redondo Drive. Jason probably knows exactly where that is. Lived down the street, knew a guy on Redondo Drive, and has driven that his whole entire life. Just go ahead and do that for you, Jason. Once inside, officers say the suspects held a man at gunpoint, stealing cash, weapons, and even the victim's car. But the surprises didn't end there. When the police entered the residence, they discovered an illegal indoor marijuana grow. Authorities have red tagged the home due to serious safety concerns tied to the grow operation. I'm assuming he retrofit the power in ways that he probably should not have. Even more alarming, investigators are now exploring possible links to Chinese organized crime. China. A connection state officials say sometimes arises in East Bay indoor grow bus. As of now, no arrests have been confirmed. Well, so guys, before you call the police because a crime has happened to you, why don't you make sure you're not committing a large one as well? Because this guy, I get it, you might need to call the police if you have an armed robbery happening at the moment. But once those guys have robbed you and left, and you are sitting in your big, stinking, illegal, China-funded marijuana grow operation in the Bay, you might gonna have to just chalk it up to a bad day. Sorry.
You know what, Jenny Beth? I have to actually agree with you on this one. You know what I mean? It was not the smartest thing for this guy to do to have called the cops. That was, you know what I'm saying? You're basically.
I've been in this
snitching.
situation. You know what I did?
You gotta
Fixed
just.
the window and bought a new fucking TV.
Mm-hmm. Try to hope that your neighbors aren't home when it happens.
I lived in the cut. That's why we lived in the cut. So we could grow and shit like that would happen.
In the cuts, in the cuts. But shout out to Nick Bradley who says this is a used distinction. Actually, Jason is right. Thank you for the clarification, and you're more than welcome, Nick. Thank you so much for acknowledging that. We appreciate that.
Yeah, the problem was Jason should have let me do it since it was my story instead of interrupting.
Whatever. You'll be all right. You know, whatever
It's
doesn't kill
okay.
you makes you stronger, Jenny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, this was just like a dumb situation all the way around. Like, first of all, if you had weapons for them to steal, like, you probably should have had them close enough to use. Second of all, like, I mean, that sucks, but, like, hop up at the early bird gets the worm. They busted this guy's door down at 6 a.m. It's crazy.
And how did, these people must have been there before because they knew to go over there. So it's not like, you know what I mean? People generally,
Yep.
you know, they know some things because they've been some places.
Yep. I mean, this is a cautionary tale. You're committing crimes on the regular in your home, and those crimes are not something that can be, like, tucked into a closet.
Mm-hmm.
Please don't call the police into your residence.
Yep. Troy Lawrence in the chat, he says, take the L and keep it growing.
Exactly.
Any thoughts, Jesse, or doctors on this? Do you guys have any medical advice for this guy? Because he sounds like he needs to see a doctor after this. You know what I mean? He's a little cuckoo
Sounds
in
like
the
it's
Cocoa Puffs.
Dr. T's bailiwick.
He needs to see a lawyer.
Yeah.
A doctor. Why is he growing illegal cannabis in Pittsburg? There you go. I mean, he can legally grow 6 plants of his personal plants, but I don't know if that's what he was doing.
I'm willing to bet there was a lot more than 6 plants in their house, Dr. T.
Yeah, has a home grow, because they never used to have a home grow. They have a home grow, right? Do we know that?
What do you mean?
Yeah, California. You can grow your 6 in California.
Yeah.
Oh, this is in California. Okay.
Yeah. You missed that part, Dr. Mark.
This is in the East Bay.
Mm-hmm.
Not Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Not home of the Steelers.
No. Well, that actually technically is the home of the Steelers, according to this story, Dr. T. Yeah.
Different Steelers. I mean, listen, this guy was obviously growing way more than 6 plants. They red tagged his whole house, which usually has something to do with illegal power conversion. So, I'm assuming that this place is not only a grow house, but also a tinderbox because this guy is completely drawing more power than that house should be doing, and I'm sure that it looked crazy in there. But yeah.
You found his Tinder account?
Huh?
You found his Tinder account?
You're such an idiot, Jason.
They're illegal. Yeah, they're illegal.
All right. Well, we've spent enough time on this. We're going to roll into our first commercial, and we are going to be right back. We are back, you guys. We are back. Oh, there we go.
The High at 9 head honcho, main interrupter, cutter offer, and the knower of everything and been everywhere, Jason Beck.
Well, you know, you're right on so many of those factors, Jenny Beth, and Jesse has driven in the car with me, so he knows all about the professional cutter offer. So you are exactly right about that. But man, the House GOP, you guys, moves forward on blocking the Trump administration's power to reschedule. Look at this. You got Republicans trying to remove some of Trump's powers. Can you believe this? The House Appropriations Committee advanced a funding bill that prevents the Department of Justice from using funds to reclassify the plant. A month after President Donald Trump confirmed that his administration is considering rescheduling cannabis to a less restrictive federal status, his GOP counterparts in the U.S. are now attempting to strip those executive powers. The Republican-controlled House Appropriations Committee advanced a federal funding package the fiscal year for 2026 Commerce and Justice, better known as CJS, and related agencies appropriations bills via 34 to a 28 vote on September 10th. The 154-page legislation in part would prevent the Department of Justice from using federal funds to remove cannabis from its Schedule I status under the Controlled Substances Act, where it's currently listed alongside heroin and LSD and ecstasy and having no currently accepted medical use. Schedule I substances have the highest potential for abuse and dependence in the eyes of the federal government, and alcohol and tobacco are not listed in any of these 5 schedules. In a quote, "None of the funds appropriated or otherwise made available by this act may be used to reschedule marijuana or to remove marijuana from the schedules established under Section 202 of the Controlled Substances Act," the legislation states. In other words, the bill would reserve cannabis rescheduling rights exclusively for the legislative branch of government. Currently on the table in Congress, the Marijuana Opportunity Reinvestment and Expungement Act, better known as the MORE Act, sponsored by Representative Jerry Nadler out of New York, and would remove cannabis from the Controlled Substances Act entirely. However, many view the partisan legislation dead on arrival. The CJS appropriations bill advancement on Wednesday comes after Trump reports during a White House press briefing on August 11th that he is looking at a cannabis rescheduling proposal initiated under President Joe Biden, and that his administration will decide the matter over the next few weeks. Some people like it, some people hate it, Trump said. Some people hate the whole concept of marijuana, but it does bad for the children. It does bad for people that are older than children. But we're looking at reclassification, and we'll make a determination, and that determination hopefully will be the right one. The current proposed rule to reclassify cannabis to a Schedule III substance involves an administrative process under the DOJ, and while Trump can't unilaterally reschedule cannabis, he can direct Attorney General Pom Bondi or the Drug Enforcement Administration, the DEA Administrator Terry Cole, to do so. And traditionally, the DEA has taken the lead on scheduling or rescheduling or even descheduling substances under the Controlled Substances Act and an authority delegated to the agency by the Attorney General. However, some argue that the former Attorney General Merrick Garland undelegated the DEA's authority to issue a final rule on the current cannabis rescheduling proposal. But either way, the DEA operates under the DOJ, which House lawmakers are now attempting to prevent from using funds to take reformative action on cannabis. The CJS and related agencies bills includes roughly $76.8 billion with a B dollars in discretionary allocations, and nearly half of which is for the DOJ. $37.3 billion with a B dollars. The bill also provides annual appropriations for the Department of Commerce, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, better known as NASA, and other federal agencies, and the total discretionary amount represents a 2.8 decrease from fiscal year 2025 in a move by House Republicans to right-size federal government agencies. Also, under the CJS package, the House Appropriations Committee is directing the DOJ to investigate potential money laundering schemes involving the Chinese Communist Party connected to marijuana businesses, as in our previous story, apparently, as well as entities providing financial services to those businesses, according to a committee report on the bill. In addition, the legislation retains an 11-year-old funding restriction on the DOJ that prohibits federal officials from preventing certain states and U.S. territories from implementing their own laws that authorize the use, distribution, possession, or cultivation of medical cannabis, and specifically, the legislation omits these protections for Idaho, Kansas, Nebraska, and American Samoa, the 3 states and 1 U.S. territory where cannabis remains completely illegal. However, that long-standing provision in the legislation provides an exemption for the DOJ to enforce federal law prohibiting the distribution or manufacturing of a controlled substance near schools or colleges, and state-sanctioned cannabis programs already prohibit businesses from operating in close proximity to schools, daycares, churches, and other places. But in addition to the cannabis-related provisions, the CJS Appropriations Bill directs funding to fight the fentanyl crisis, support state and local law enforcement, and counter the Communist Republic of China, according to the GOP Majority Committee members. House Appropriations Committee Chairman Tom Cole, Republican from Oklahoma, said the bill puts security, accountability, and national strength at the forefront. In a quote, "The fiscal year 26 CJS bill is about protecting the nation on every front, safeguarding our streets, restoring fiscal discipline, defending constitutional freedoms, and renewing public trust in government," he said in a press release. "It invests in law enforcement to combat crime and fentanyl while standing firm against communist China's theft of American technology and innovation. It also advances U.S. leadership in space exploration and scientific discovery. At its core, this bill reflects the enduring promise of our nation: safety at home, economic strength and competitiveness, and liberty for every American." The partisan committee vote, however, reflected Democratic pushback on multiple fronts, from the legislation's inclusion of several Trump administration priorities and mandates, such as ending DEI programs, to funding cuts for the current CJS levels. Representative Greg Mang, a Democrat from New York, said the legislation continues to lead on the wrong track as American families struggle. He says, "This bill sharply cuts funding for the agencies and programs that create jobs, boost American small businesses, and advance our economy," Mang said. "Economic Development Administration grants are cut by 36%, abandoning rural and distressed communities that are desperately in need of economic investment and well-paying jobs." Ming also pointed to funding slashes for the Minority Business Development Agency and the Internal Trade Administration, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and other agencies. While House Appropriations Committee also included the cannabis rescheduling language in the fiscal year 2025 CJS bill last year, that provision was ultimately omitted from the final version of the bill, you guys. Well, it sounds like we got a bunch of prohibitionist Republicans over here on this committee, but fortunately they're just on this committee, and I'd seriously doubt that it'll ultimately pass the House, the full House, but we shall wait and see, and I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this.
Oh man, that's the bananas.
Right?
This is just a dog and pony show, it feels like.
Yeah.
I don't even know who they're speaking for. Almost
Right.
80% of the population of America on the left and the right
Yeah.
all want legalization. I don't know what small group of people that they are servicing right now. It must be big pharma.
It's their own special interest. It's definitely their own special interest, Jesse.
Big pharma, tobacco,
Yep.
Alcohol, for-profit prisons, and the drug testing business are all billion-dollar industries.
Well, you're forgetting one.
Lobbyists,
You're forgetting one.
that pay for lobbyists to make sure that cannabis prohibition remains in place.
You're forgetting one too, Dr. Mark. The rehab business. The rehab business is big on this too.
Is there such a thing as marijuana rehab? It's bullshit, right?
I think it's total bullshit. But I mean, when you go to court, they tell you that it's part of your probation generally.
Yeah. Well, they have cannabis use disorder.
Well, that's totally different. That's a medical condition that they try to,
Rehab is because of medical conditions, right? You're rehabbing a medical condition.
Oh, I see. You're definitely conflating CUD with probation, but I see what you're doing there, Dr. T. I'm not mad, but you got to remember it is Report Medicare Fraud Day today.
The question I have is, I thought Donald Trump was king. I thought he was in charge of the GOP, but he's clearly not. Either that or he's against cannabis.
This is the thing. I would say Donald Trump is in charge. I would put it more like that. Donald Trump is definitely in charge, and if Donald Trump, because basically Donald Trump has the ear of the American people, and the American people, love President Trump. Now, as opposed to these different representatives, there's a lot of them that are definitely rhinos or Trump deflectors or whatever you want to say that aren't necessarily about giving Trump what he wants, because a lot of them feel as though that they will be giving him too much power, which is totally ridiculous because the American people clearly voted for Trump to be able to execute his agenda in a full way in this last presidential race. So with that, I think that it'll be interesting to see what happens in the primaries with some of these guys, and I hope Trump works to primary a bunch of these guys, because they're just trying to block what Trump is trying to do.
Well, I'd like to hear him say that. I mean, maybe he's really supporting these guys while giving lip service to the cannabis industry.
Well,
I'd like to hear him come out against these guys. I haven't heard that.
I would like that too, Dr. T, but I think it's kind of a mixed bag of nuts at the same time too. You know what I mean? Some of them he'll end up supporting, other ones he'll end up primarying, and you got to kind of pick your battles on those battlefields, because some people do, really represent their district in some manner, as crazy as it sounds.
Well, I do agree that Donald Trump is a mixed bag of nuts. There, we are at the same level there.
Oh, I see what you did there. Oh, man.
Illegal.
Yep. You have any thoughts on this, Jenny Beth? The Ghost of Friday?
Nope.
Okay. Jesse, any final thoughts? Dr. Mark?
I mean, I just want to reiterate that this is really silly. If you have a representative who is on the Republican side, who is a part of this movement, who's clearly not listening to the people, they're listening to some special interest group that's a tiny section of the population that benefits from prohibition. So it's time to speak up. I mean, I don't know why this keeps going on and why American people keep putting up with this, but man, it's got to end.
Yeah, fair enough. Dr. Mark, any final words?
Just two words: lip service.
Lip service.
This is all just lip. It just seems we have this. Yeah, every so often this comes up on High at 9 stories that these people, between the DEA having hearings and legislative this and legislative that, it's all just lip service. It doesn't move anything anywhere.
Yep. I wonder if this is I wonder if this is partially due to the fact that that these guys may think the same way that I'm thinking, in the fact that I think Pam Bondi is going to get fired.
Yeah.
And then
I think she's going to get fired.
I think Pam Bondi is going to get fired over this whole Epstein stuff, you guys. She's way too close to the whole Epstein debacle in the first place from her time in Florida. And if she is fired, you know who my would be the first pick.
Gates, right?
Yeah, first pick, exactly, a first round draft pick right there. And you know, Matt will be all about the descheduling.
Down. It's not going to happen.
No, 100% it can happen, bro. 100% this can happen, Jesse. You're totally off on that.
So. I think the political theater would never allow it, even though I agree with you that he should be the pick.
Well, hold on a second, because I'm gonna throw this out there for you, just so you can think about this a little bit. Is that we all know that he won't pass a Senate confirmation hearing, but a lot of time has gone by, and they have already okayed recess appointments, and they could appoint him with a recess appointment, and then he would be there, and he'd be the head of the DOJ as our Attorney General, and it'd be an amazing thing for cannabis. And on that, we are going to roll right in to Dr. Jean Talleyrand. He's the founder of the CESC and of Medican, where you can get your doctor's recommendation online all the time and every time. That's right, it is none other than Dr. Jean Talleyrand.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. All good, buddy. Yes. You're loud and clear.
Happy Friday, everyone. So my story today is from Marijuana Herald by Anthony Martinelli. Study, higher education levels linked to increased marijuana use. Opposite of cigarette trends. In the United States, cigarette smoking is a leading cause of preventable death. Cannabis is the most commonly used illegal drug. Cigarettes and alcohol are not illegal. While cigarette smoking rates have been declining over the past few decades, cannabis use has been increasing, which may be due to increased social acceptability and legalization. Studies have inconsistently shown that cannabis can impact learning and memory, concentration, abstract reasoning, cognition, motivation, and increase the risk of psychosis. Studies have also shown an inverse relationship between cigarette smoking and educational level, such that those who do not have a high school education have higher rates of smoking cigarettes relative to those who have completed high school and some college education or graduated college. Researchers from California State University and the University of California examined data from the 2023 California Health Interview Survey, which included over 20,000 adults. Among California adults over 25 years old, current cannabis use was over twice as high, 13.5%, as current cigarette use, 6.1%. The data revealed that those with a high school diploma, some college or college degree, were all significantly more likely to use cannabis than adults who did not finish high school. In contrast, cigarette smoking was far less common among college graduates than those with lower education levels. Logistic regression confirmed that the odds of cannabis use were more than 2 times higher for adults with some college or a degree compared to those who did not graduate high school. Compared to cigarettes, there was relatively little research that specifically examines the relationship between cannabis use and education level. The authors of this study feel that such research can guide cannabis use prevention and intervention programming, as similar information involving smoking has been critical in focusing cigarette smoking prevention and intervention among those with the lowest levels of educational attainment. The examined rates of cigarette smoking and cannabis use across education levels amongst adults in California, a state that legalized recreational cannabis in 2016 and has a diverse population assessed by a representative statewide health survey. They hypothesized an inverse relationship between cannabis use rates and education levels, where those with less than a high school education would have the highest rates of current cannabis use, while those who have graduate college would have the lower rates of use, similar to established research findings of an inverse relationship between cigarette smoking and education level. And they were wrong. So the authors concluded that efforts to prevent and reduce cannabis use should have additional focus on those who have completed high school and college. So they want to educate the college students, whereas efforts to reduce cigarette smoking should continue to focus on populations with the lowest levels of education attainment. Additional research is needed to better understand why those with higher education attainment are more likely to use cannabis. So there are problems with this study. The problem with this study is that the authors misinterpreted prior research to conclude that cannabis use is problematic, which it isn't. The assumption is a glaring mistake in an otherwise good study. Cannabis use may lead to more relaxed, thoughtful, and intelligent students. More students who use cannabis may end up in college than those who smoke cigarettes. All of the evidence so far has demonstrated correlation and not causation. We don't know why more college students use cannabis than smoke cigarettes. However, the news puts a positive light on cannabis use. Did you smoke cigarettes or cannabis in college? Did either help you with your schoolwork? This is Dr. Jean Talleyrand with High at 9 News.
Huge glaring hole in this study right out of the gates. They're just talking about smoking cigarettes and not vaping. And I think in the youth,
good point, Jesse.
most of the youth who are consuming tobacco or nicotine, they are either using Zins or they are vaping. They are not smoking cigarettes. So that's one big reason why cigarette smoking itself has gone down, regardless of the economic factors and whether or not they're in college or not, or the education factors. But also, I think it's always been the case, well, more recently, since tobacco has been sort of demonized, is that higher education and people with more wealth just generally don't partake in things like that. They generally see it as it's a low status thing to do.
But Jesse, they call it higher education.
No, he's talking about cigarettes.
Oh, okay.
Cigarettes.
All right. Fair enough.
No, weed is a high status thing to do. It's and in fact, I think that the price of cannabis overall means that you kind of have to have some money to smoke weed regularly.
That's true.
You can't be super poor. So people who are in college generally have more money. They're going to probably smoke more weed.
Well, do you think that cannabis makes you smarter and that's why you end up in college?
Well, there's so many interesting intersections here, political intersections. It's very interesting that it's, college is generally more liberal. There's generally more liberal people there. So is there an association politically with weed in that regard? Yeah, what you said.
Liberals are smarter?
No. Definitely not saying that.
I'm not saying
Definitely
that.
not saying that.
See, and I don't think that people who go to college are smarter. I think there's plenty of instances where people who don't go to college are smarter, especially now when college is very expensive and it's easier to get a better education just by yourself online. So I think the smartest person wouldn't spend $60,000 or $40,000 to indoctrinate themselves. And I saw a great interview just yesterday of a college kid who was an English major, and he was in year 4, and he was asked what his favorite Charles Dickens book was, and he didn't even know who Charles Dickens was. And I think that's kind of indicative of the college education today.
Oh, well, the only college professor has to say something about
of course.
Right?
Of course, please.
So, I'm sitting here in my office in Charay Hall at St. Michael's College in Colchester, Vermont.
Yeah.
There's the yin and yang, Jesse, what I could say. I understand what you're saying, and I remember this case where a NYU professor was actually sued by their students because he wasn't, I don't know, making himself available for office hours or some stuff like that. So the professor, who was a 30-year veteran of NYU, ended up leaving his job because he was basically being bullied by students who were being pressured probably by parents who were donating to the college or the university that the kids were going to beyond, I guess, what they were putting into the tuition coffers. And you're absolutely right, Jesse. I mean, you know, because you have a large family. college costs a lot of money
Yeah.
these days. But what was the number you threw out? Did you throw 60,000?
I said 40,000 or 60,000,
40,000?
whatever the number is.
I said,
And I know it's a lot more than that in certain colleges.
A year, right? The number's not too far away from that, you
Right.
know. And I tell you what, I just remember like when I went to college, I graduated high school in 1981, so I went to college from 1981 to through 19. Well, I did my graduate work, which took me through 1990. But needless to say, I don't remember spending $40,000-$50,000 a year. It was like $3,000 or $4,000 a year, and that was out-of-state tuition. But I'm on the other side of the equation where I interact with young people in my classrooms and in my laboratories that, for me as a professor, adds a zero onto my salary. The impact that I have on these young people's lives, they'll know me for the rest of their life. And it's a connection that I don't take lightly. It's a very, the mentor-student connection is a very important connection. And it's very important, I guess, for some of these kids to have, you know, I'm a male. I happen to be a male. I'm not a female.
yeah.
I can have a positive male role model in their lives because some of these kids come from broken homes or homes where maybe the father's absent. So again, what I sense is that the college experience isn't what it used to be. You're absolutely right, Jesse. But I think when I think about the educational experiences that my students have, it's like no other thing that they're ever going to experience ever in their life. And I know that when they go on and they go off into the world and get careers and jobs, that they lean on the educational experience that they had while they were with me. So I think it's a great thing. And I understand everything you're saying all about the whole funding, Harvard, Columbia, professors are multi-billionaires these days. And yeah, I mean, I'm just at a small college and just teaching one mind at a time. That's all.
Yeah, I first of all, I appreciate you and what you're saying, and I appreciate the work that you're doing, and I know that you're an amazing professor. And part of that is I don't think you're the common denominator for professors. Like the quality of professor that you are is probably not the absolute norm, and that's sad. You should be the norm. And the other side of that, I think that you're agreeing with, is that like a Harvard education of 1950 is not the same as a Harvard education today. And
right.
I don't think the quality has gone up. I think the quality has gone down.
My kids are competing with those Harvard graduates in the marketplace. And what we find is that, like here at St. Michael's, we send more kids to UVM medical school than does UVM. Because again, when UVM is University of Vermont, when those kids do pre-med, they want to go to Harvard and Hopkins and Stanford and all those big expensive schools. And yeah, Dr. T, how much does medical school cost? Medical school is not cheap, right? And I don't know. I mean, we need more doctors. We need more cannabis doctors. We need more doctors to understand the role that cannabis can have in treating human diseases. Don't you think so, Dr. T?
Absolutely. I don't know how much medical school is these days. It's way expensive. I mean, if undergrad is 40, 60, 80,000 a year, medical school is more.
Yeah.
Right.
So we're talking about $500,000 in order for you to get your medical education.
How long did it take you, Dr. T, to get through medical school? Like how many years was that?
It's a four-year program.
Postgraduate though, right? Like you have to go 4 and then 4 more.
You start as a resident. You do anywhere from 3 to 9 years as a resident, but you're getting paid finally at that. Although you're getting paid like really bad wages, like for like $5 an hour essentially is what we calculated since we were working 80, 90-hour weeks. So it's continued training essentially.
Yeah, and I've heard that a medical degree is what, $250,000 by the time you're done with it, $250,000, some even much higher than that.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So you leave college and you're just basically a slave.
Well, and then because of that, you're geared toward making money rather than just care, because you've so sold the farm, to get to that position.
PHARM.
Sold to farm. Yes, I see what you did there. Yeah, that's cute. That's cute.
That whole system has so many corruption problems, and the fact that Big Pharma has their fingers in it, and then you're on the take as a doctor, where it's like you need to make the money, so wherever it's going to come from, and then Big Pharma's ready. They're ready to hand you a check if you just write more prescriptions and sell more surgeries, right?
Oh, they hand out free books, which are also very expensive. They give out free lunches as a student where you have no money. So they start early.
Yep, exactly.
What's the quality of that food in that free lunch, Dr. T? I'd imagine it's not amazing.
The same as if you were in a business lunch. They go out and buy something, at a local, bring it in.
Exactly.
Yeah, they take you somewhere kind of nice.
I don't know about all that, but you know what I'm saying. Maybe your nice isn't what my nice is, Jesse.
I think you went to the wrong business lunches, Jason.
I don't know. I go to some fancy business lunches. That's why I'm saying.
Some of us would protest the lunches, so we'd have to starve while watching everybody eat, because we weren't into taking pharma money.
Yeah.
But very few, maybe like a couple of us out of a class of 100.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we wandered way off track, but
yeah. Well, this was
good
fun.
conversation.
Yeah, this was fun. Any final things, Mr. Professor, on this topic before we move on?
No, I just think that education is good, and whether you're getting it in the classroom or whether you're getting it in the workplace, whether you're getting it at home, always keep your mind open to learning more.
That's a great thing. Yes, and on that, we're going to roll into our next commercial, and we're going to be right back.
Every legend has a humble beginning.
In world news, leaders are gathering today for the annual summit.
I want to tell you something, Che. The government is watching us through the television.
Oh, John.
Look, right there. They're trying to hack into my TV box.
We're still not able to hack into the TV box, sir.
Ha! But they can't. I've rebuilt the entire electronic system, and it sends and receives signals through quantum phase space. They'll never get in. Engage target.
In other news, local authorities are investigating a series of strange atmospheric phenomena reported by residents.
Ma'am, we're with the federal government. We need to ask you some questions.
John?
Is there a problem? We've been trying to penetrate your TV box for over 6 months. I told you they were trying to watch us through the TV, but you didn't believe me. We can't get in, and to be frank, we have no idea what you've created. Yeah, that's the point. It's called privacy. You know what the Fourth Amendment guarantees? All we know is that we can't get inside. We want to know if you can create one for us.
QUX. Even the government wants one.
And we are back. All right, you guys, stop whatever you're doing. Make sure you smash that like button. I know we'll appreciate it. You'll appreciate it, and YouTube will appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And all of the articles that we cover on today's story, you can read directly on our website, www.high9news.com. And if you are watching, please make sure that you are subscribed, because we are almost at that 6,000 subscriber marker, and so we would love to cross that threshold before the end of this month. So please share this with your friends and whatnot. And also too, make sure today at 11 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern is going to be the premiere of our 9/11 special interview with Congressman Kurt Weldon from Pennsylvania and Congressman Dana Rohrabacher from California, going over all of the blunders of the 9/11 investigation and whatnot. We put a lot of work into this. I hope you guys really enjoy it. It's about 2 hours long, and it's packed full of facts that these gentlemen are willing to, take lie detector tests on in regards to this. So, and you'll hear it come straight from their mouths. And so I hope you guys all enjoy it, and I'm excited for you guys all to check it out.
Introducing QUX Pay, or simply the Pay app.
Where you can pay like it's nobody's business.
Because it isn't. It's what everyone's been clamoring for. It's finally here.
Secure every payment. Your data stays private. QUX will never sell your data for profit, period. Pay friends, family, contacts instantly. No hidden fees. No limits. Spend on the move.
With this patented technology, you can use debit, credit, bank transfer, cash cards, and even crypto completely offline.
Amounts transferred through the Pay app reach their destination instantly. Transfers in a flash. As quick as sending a text. No more waiting around like crypto. Are you ready for the future of payments? The state of the art for money is finally here.
Data privacy and security protocols trusted by militaries and banks worldwide. QUX Pay, the Pay app.
Available as an app and point of sale system, personal and corporate accounts available. Go to QUXPay.com and start using the Pay app today.
But it's just premiering. Ah, yes, and we are back, you guys. Jenny, are you with us?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to introduce Dr. Mark?
Yep.
Okay, you've been pretty quiet. I just wanted to make sure your microphone still worked.
It does.
Okay.
All right, coming up next, the self-deprecating, college-educating, high at 9 professor with the mostest, Dr. Mark Saldone.
That's pretty good.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for all the love I get in the chat, too. It really means a lot to me. I know you guys tune in the doctor's episode here on Friday. And, you know, speaking for Jean, I think we really enjoy the interaction that we have here on Friday afternoon. So thank you again for you guys making this possible. Okay, so let's see. Oh, it's a chemistry article today. I love this. Okay, this is great. So my article today is entitled Long-Lasting Cognitive and Physical Impairment After Recreational Use of Semisynthetic Cannabinoid, Hexahydrocannabinonyl, hexahydrocannabinonyl, or HHC-C9 case report. Okay. So this comes from a group over in Denmark, and what they found, I'll read you the abstract and we'll talk a little bit about the chemistry, is the recreational use of semisynthetic cannabinoids is increasing, and semisynthetic cannabinoids account for more than 40% of all new substances reported at the European level. Wow, that's pretty significant, right? 40%. That's a huge amount, really, if you think about it. Although designed to mimic the effects of tetrahydrocannabinol, or THC, primary psychoactive compound in cannabis, evidence suggests that certain semisynthetic cannabinoids may elicit stronger, prolonged, and unintended pharmacological effects. Semisynthetic cannabinoids are easily accessible, particularly via online retailers, but in some countries, semisynthetic cannabinoids are sold in convenience stores or specialty stores selling low THC or cannabidiol products. Other semisynthetic cannabinoids are sold as legal highs and found in various forms, including herbal mixtures like spice, vape products, and edibles such as cookies, candies, specifically targeting young users, including children. The products are frequently mislabeled and sold as souvenirs or aromatic potpourri. Really? Sold as aromatic potpourri.
Potpourri.
To bypass regulations. Yeah, so I guess like with spice, what they're doing is they're spraying stuff onto this leafy material and they're calling it potpourri, I guess. I don't know. Okay, so anyway, where are we here? So the case presentation for this particular, so this is, again, not a scientific study. This is a case presentation that these medical folks are writing up. So this wasn't done scientifically. This is basically a paper that describes what happened in this particular case. So we present a case of a male in his early 40s who's admitted to the emergency department due to noticeable deficits in alertness and responsiveness after recreational ingestion of 2 cannabis cookies laced with 40 milligrams of something called CC9. CC9. Okay. And a bite of a gummy with unknown contents. Okay, so he took a bite of a gummy after taking 2 cookies. So this guy was really looking to get off, right? And we all know what happens with edibles, right? You eat edibles, right? And you know that there's a lag time between when you actually ingest it and when you feel it, the psychoactivity, because it has to go through your digestive tract into your bloodstream and then traverse from your bloodstream into your brain, right? So there's some time that it takes to do that. So this guy ate 2 cookies and he took another bite of a gummy, and then the patient experienced vomiting, visual problems, and suffered for 9 days of cognitive and physical impairment. HHC-C9, a novel semisynthetic cannabinoid, was detected in the blood through forensic and toxicological analysis. So the conclusions here were recreational use of HHC-C9 can cause vomiting, visual disturbances, drowsiness, and potentially requiring hospital treatment. Potency, clinical effects, and toxicity of semisynthetic cannabinoids can vary significantly, and in combination with easily accessibility, semisynthetic cannabinoids pose a potential risk of intoxication to unaware consumers. Okay, so let's try to break this down. I printed out, that's why I was running in and out of my office earlier in the broadcast, printed out the chemical structures. Hopefully, can you see this? Are these
back it up just a little bit. Back it up just a little bit. Yep, perfect right there. And then move it to the left a little.
Okay. So on this side over here, I think they have, is it THC?
THC, yep, HHC. Right there. Yep.
Okay. So what you see is the difference between THC and HHC is there's been a double bond that's been hydrogenated. So when you take THC and you hydrogenate it, you make HHC. What you see here with this C9 HHC is you see this carbon tail here?
Yep.
That's a 5-carbon tail in THC. So the natural phytocannabinoids have a 5-carbon tail. What you see with this semisynthetic cannabinoid C9 is it's got a tail that's 9 carbons long. So they've introduced 4 additional carbons to this side chain. Okay. And what's known is when you introduce just 2 additional carbons to the side chain, you have the compound called THCP. We've talked about this on High at 9 before.
Yeah.
So THCP is a semisynthetic cannabinoid that has a 7-carbon tail. This semisynthetic cannabinoid has a 9-carbon tail, right? So it has 2 more extra carbon atoms on its tail. So what that does, and this is really interesting, Dr. T, I was actually on a conference call yesterday with Ellen Hallett. For those of you who don't know Ellen Hallett, she is the molecular pharmacologist who discovered the CB1 receptor. She worked with the team of Meshulam and Roger Pertwee and others. And if they ever do award a Nobel Prize for the discovery of the endocannabinoid system, which is certainly worth a Nobel Prize in medicine, she will probably be one of the people that shares.
Wow.
So she and I have this wonderful collaboration where we're looking at these semisynthetic cannabinoids and looking at what biological targets they're hitting. And so when we spoke yesterday about this, and we didn't speak specifically about this paper, but it's pretty well known that if you increase the size of that carbon tail, it changes the activity. Dr. T will know this because when you decrease the carbon tail of THC, right? So this is THC, right, with a 5-carbon tail. You decrease that to 3 carbons. What's the name of that molecule, John?
THCV.
THCV, right. And so what it changes is it changes the activity of an agonist. So we all know that when you feel high, it's because THC is agonizing your CB1 receptor. When you decrease that carbon tail by just 2 carbons, the receptor then isn't agonized, but it's antagonized. And that's one of the reasons why there's a lot of interest in THCV for weight loss control, because when you agonize your CB1 receptor, you get the munchies. When you antagonize it, the notion is that that's going to turn off the munchies. Well, I guess the jury's still out on whether or not THCV is going to be the miracle GLP-1 of the future. I think clearly what this shows is that when you increase carbon tail, right, Jason, I've heard from experienced cannabis users who've used THCP, and it says it makes them fucked up for basically 2 days.
Yeah.
And these are people who could smoke a lot of weed.
Yep.
Smoke a lot of weed, get super high, but a couple hours later they can get out of it. When you consume THCP, just increasing that carbon tail by just 2 carbons increases the potency, John. They think that increases the potency for the receptor by 30-fold. So that means THCP has got a higher binding constant with the CB1 receptor by 30x. Well, we all know, because we're all THC users, that THC with a 5 carbon tail works plenty good enough. We don't need a 7 carbon tail. Now, this current study is talking about a 9 carbon tail, and also talking about the hydrogenated derivative as opposed to the unsaturated derivative. So
and we point out that THCV is natural, while THCP is not natural, because this make sure that we can draw the line between what's naturally grown and what is made in the lab.
That's correct. That's correct. And there are no naturally occurring, at least there's no data in the literature to support that these compounds occur in cannabis in very substantial amounts. Now, John, what I will say is that, so with THCP, when that article came out from the Italian group, they first demonstrated that they isolated a peak from an extract and then went back and synthesized the compound and showed that peak in the extract, which was a very, very exceedingly small peak, had the same retention time as the peak from the synthetic material. Basically, what paper showed is, oh, you want THCP? Here's how you make it synthetically. While they're obviously using the same type of synthesis to make this now 9 carbon compound. And again, if you read the case and what the guy, so this was, again, a male, a 40-year-old male. I guess this happened in Malta. But I guess they somehow traced the material, or no, it happened, in Denmark, but they traced the material to coming from Malta. For some reason, Malta is involved with this, so maybe they were manufacturing there. But again, I've said this before on High at 9 many times. I believe if we get rid of cannabis prohibition and we give people access to high-quality cannabis and high-quality cannabis products, there won't be products like this being sold. I guess there still will be people who need to chase the dragon and get higher and higher, get as high as they possibly can get. But we all know if we have a good, properly made live resin or properly made whatever type of method that we use to ingest or absorb the compounds, that works perfectly fine, and we don't need these designer cannabinoids. I'm interested in these designer cannabinoids as pharmaceuticals for maybe treating difficult cancers or other epileptic conditions and stuff like that. But we need to do full, safety assessments of these things and understand what does adding a couple carbons to that side chain do. I'm all about experimenting and exploring new molecules, but I don't think we should I don't think we should put those items into commerce where people can buy them and consume them until we fully know what the safety implications of using these things are. So that's my story today. I know I've taken probably more time than I needed to. Dr. T, I'd love to get your input on this, and Jesse and Jenny, and what do people think about this? I mean, I think that we could analog around this molecule and make biologically active compounds, but I don't think they should be necessarily consumed in a recreational way like this gentleman did.
Well, first things first, Dr. Mark. You know what I mean? I'm generally always for increasing tail.
Yeah. Not on the molecule.
Yeah, but I'm gonna let Dr. T tackle this one first.
Well, what strikes me is the natural versus unnatural divide we've had thousands of years of consuming this plant naturally, and it's got, and that is our safety testing. When people start to alter it, and mostly it's because they don't have access to the natural one, and so they're creating their synthetic versions, or like Dr. Mark suggested, they're looking for specific drugs for specific illnesses and going through the proper way of evaluating these synthetics. First in animal, first in the petri dish, and then in man, and then carefully in man, so that we understand the dosage, but not just trying it in a gummy and then ending up in the emergency room. But that's because the regulators are banning just regular natural cannabis plant. Mm-hmm. I don't consider this.
And Dr. T, isn't the real lesson from Rimonabant? So Rimonabant was a drug molecule made by a pharmaceutical company that was designed to be better than THC to bind to the CB1 receptor. But what they found biologically when they had these studies done is that binding better than THC doesn't work out for the patient, right, Dr. T? So they pulled Rimonabant from the market. So it's kind of like the cannabis plant has basically made the right molecule to interact with this receptor, and we really don't need all these more potent versions of it. And the spice phenomenon, again, like if you have really good cannabis and you can see it and you can smell it and you can taste it, who's going to buy some potpourri package of spiced cannabis? Mm-hmm. It's just synthetic crap.
Yep. I'm with you on that. Right. I'm with you on that. You have anything you want to throw in on this, Jesse or Jenny?
Don't buy fake weed.
Fair enough. It's all about weed for the people on that one. You know what I mean? We need real weed for real people.
Teach the children, do not buy the fake weed.
Yeah.
Clearly it's not good.
Oh man.
Give them the real thing if you have to.
That's right.
But it's dangerous to let them buy the fake.
Mm-hmm.
The real thing is so good, right? If they could actually see the real thing, they would never buy some dried out potpourri bullshit sprayed with some freaking chemical.
I don't know. I'm not too sure about that. I mean, you have kids that are like dabbing Tide Pods and stuff like that. Dr. Mark,
news,
so
bro.
That is not fake news. That is not fake news.
Nobody dabbed a Tide Pod.
It's all over the internet. These kids were dabbing Tide Pods, bro. Kids do dumb things. Okay, that's all part of being kids. You know what I mean?
That's funny.
That's true.
Funny.
Well, they drink the cough syrup stuff. What is that stuff called?
Oh, lean. I mean, there's a lot of adults. There's a lot of adults that do that too. Yeah.
Now, lean definitely happens, but that's a different thing.
I don't know, bro.
Will people always seek to get higher than they could and maybe it's because they haven't been smoking good cannabis. If they had good cannabis, they wouldn't need to get that feeling that I need to get higher.
I agree with that. I agree with that, and at the same time, sometimes as people always do want to test their limits and see how far they can go with something, and then all of a sudden, you know what I mean? It's like the motto of the administration, FAFO. You know what I mean? That's what ultimately is going to happen is a whole bunch of FAFO, chasing the dragon. Exactly right. Well, on that, we're going to roll into our final commercial, and we are going to be right back.
Oh man, your knees still bothering you, man? Yeah.
She's muted.
Okay, she's on mute. Got it. Well, what's just the control tower from Highly Educated?
Oh man, your knees still bothering you, man?
Yeah, I left one, you know? But I'll tell you what, I've been using this new CBD cream, and it works like a miracle.
CBDs? I done heard about them CBDs. I was out there on them Twitters the other day, and I heard they get you high as a kite.
Well, not this stuff. This stuff is tested. Every batch, all the way through, pharmaceutical grade, and in a GMP certified facility. So you know you're not going to have to worry about flying high.
GMP certified? I might have to try some of this out. Where I'm even find this?
You go directly to aimhighhemp.com and they will ship it to your door right away. Tested. It's not a name, it's a promise. Oh, and we are back. Jenny, are you with us or you're not with us? Are you gone? Have you disappeared? I guess she's disappeared.
She must be busy.
Oh, she must. Maybe she's on a call or something. Who knows? But nonetheless, we're going to roll right into Mr. Jesse Barney. He's the founder of Barney Design Co. and can help take your brands to the highest plateaus of plateaus. He does design. He does graphic work. And he can tell you everything that you're doing wrong when you're trying to create a brand. That's right. It is none other than Mr. Jesse Barney.
More importantly, I can tell you what you should be doing right when you're creating a brand. Thanks, Jason. I really appreciate that. My story comes out of the San Francisco Chronicle this morning. It's a story that's near and dear to my heart because I worked with this company for off and on for a couple years, both as an employee and a freelancer. And so here it goes. Cannabis company Eaze survived bankruptcy. Now it's opened its first San Francisco store. Cannabis company Eaze opened its first San Francisco store on Monday in Haight-Ashbury, returning to the city where it was founded in 2014. Much has changed for the brand. Eaze's original entity, Eaze Technologies Incorporated, filed for bankruptcy protection last fall and sold most of its assets to a new company, Eaze Incorporated, which now operates the store and its delivery app. Eaze now has stores in Los Angeles, San Diego, and Orange County, along with the new San Francisco store at 1685 Haight Street. Getting back to the Bay Area and really planting our flag in the ground was really important to us as a company, said an Eaze spokesperson. California is still the heart of the cannabis industry. It's where the culture thrives and where new ideas take root. The new store has a general manager and 10 employees. Legal cannabis sales have slumped in California for the last 4 years, and the state raised its sales tax on marijuana from 15% to 19% starting in July. San Francisco sales also fell in the last 2 years, according to the California Department of Tax and Fee Administration, which experts have attributed to high prices and competition from illegal sellers, like our boy out in Pittsburgh that we talked about earlier. The challenges are real, but that's also what makes it exciting. This is the place that pushes us to innovate, to grow, and to shape the future of cannabis, said the Eaze spokesperson in a quote. Eaze is looking to open more retail locations in the Bay Area and the rest of the state, the company said. Haight-Ashbury is also seeing new businesses opening, particularly restaurants and bars. The bar Green Heron is opening in the former Hobson's Choice space, and another bar called Mary's on Haight is replacing Trax. This is great news. I have a love-hate with this brand, because they have made so many big mistakes and done so many of the just terrible brand faux pas that you can do and business faux pas that you can do. They seem to have, regardless of what seemed like a very dire end, like they weren't going to make it, it seems like they're making some good decisions. It's cool to see them enter into the realty space. Oh my gosh. The actual sales, the brick and mortar space. And I think that's the best move. Having real dispensaries, we know that dispensaries is where a lot of the real money is made. Coupled with their delivery app, they might be able to sail through this and actually come out. I'm excited to hear what everyone else has to say.
Well, and the distributor, right? So the distributor's making money, the dispensary's making money, but everybody on the other side of them on the supply chain is being needled for, lower costs and everything, right?
Yeah, so this seems like they're kind of taking both. Oh, and one more thing. Shout out to my boy Greg Fisher, who's one of the last people who still works there. 4 years later, he's still there. So love you, Greg.
Interesting, Jesse. Well, Eaze. I didn't realize that stores in San Francisco even made any money anymore. So I found this super, super interesting. And I did find it interesting, too, what Troy Lawrence said in the chat. He said, way to pass the buck to a new EIN.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it's done, man. That's how it's done. Look, that's business in America. And I think, look, Jason, what you just referred to as stores making money, I think they hinted at one of the ways they're making money. They have one general manager and 10 employees. So when you keep things small and tight like that, your likelihood of running a really tight operation that works really well goes up. And it sounds like they've learned a lot of lessons. They're going to run a tight ship, and I think they have a good chance of making it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now that they're done, sorry to not be here to give you an intro, Jesse. I apologize. I'll make it up to you for the next show. But I mean, yeah, now that they've ruined everybody else's license that they operated off of and screwed them with their tax liabilities by not keeping accurate records or running a business well when they're not the ones responsible for it. Maybe they've learned lessons by screwing everybody else and they can fix it and do well for themselves.
Well, I think part of that, Jenny, is you're right. And that's why I said I have a love-hate relationship with these guys. I worked with them off and on for a couple years, as I said. And so I have very intimate knowledge of the place. There's a lot of people there that I really did grow to love. Greg Fisher, who still works there, I really love him. He's an amazing dude, and he does great work. It's cool to see him as I think he's the only person from the original crew who's still working there. So part of that, Jenny, is that the entire business has been replaced. Nobody works there who used to work there. Nobody even owns a part in Eaze who used to own a part in Eaze. It's completely changed hands. So it really is completely new ownership. The only thing that they retained really is the name and some of that look and feel and the branding and stuff that they brought over, but everything else is completely overhauled and different.
Well, it needs to be. They literally were like a straw company. They're like, here, we'll come in, we'll work off your license, we'll probably screw you up a whole bunch. But hey, not our license, not our issue. But shout out to MXB. Michael Burns is a cool guy.
Yeah, shout out to
Michael Burns too, who helped start it all.
Yes. He's always a fun guy to hang out with.
So this is the post-Pinsky era of Eaze, right?
Oh, it's been post-Pinsky for a long time.
That's
Pinsky
funny.
and Burns got out around the same time, didn't they?
No, Burns hung on for a long time as a consultant. I mean, because he helped start it with Nick Fasano, that he had an intimate relationship, but Burns was technically out well before anyone. I mean, he stepped aside and started Fuego and a bunch of other things and was doing flower hire and all that. So Eaze was just one of the arms of what he was doing. And
if you're not familiar with Fuego, it's called Fuego because the brand means fuck your ego.
That's right.
Yes, that's true. Yes.
But yeah, I mean, also Burns was the tech guy, right? That's kind of his forte for the most part.
He's the sales master. I mean, he knew all the tech guys and he could sell the tech, and he used to sell tech software. That's where he made his name and made his bread and butter before getting into cannabis. He was a software salesman and was a legend for selling $4 billion of software in one sale to Hertz. So
Michael Burns has done more with a trucker headset than most truckers have. So
that's
true.
That is hilarious. Well, much love to Michael Burns, and good luck, Eaze. We'll see what happens. Well, you never know. But while we still have the doctors here, I have a fun story for you guys to close this week out with.
Coming up, pulling up the caboose, the biggest rear end at the High at 9 News, Jason Beck. Look, I rhymed it today.
Well, you should have said tail end, Jenny Beth, because that's been kind of the theme of the show today. But nonetheless,
No, I needed caboose because I needed it to rhyme. So you worry about your intros, and I'll do mine.
I was just improving it.
And what my story tells you is that size matters when it comes to tail.
See, that's what I was trying to tell him. You know what I'm saying? That's why, you know, I'm not even going to go there today. But here's where I am going to go. To New York. Because New York regulators moved to fine a cannabis testing lab over safety violations, you guys. That's right. The effort to penalize the facility, or the facility, Lexicrom Analytical Laboratory, comes amid a state push to investigate testing in irregularities in the weed industry. A cannabis testing lab in New York is facing a 3-year ban and a record fine of $2 million after state investigators found unacceptable levels of pesticides in products the company had cleared as safe for sale. The Office of Cannabis Management on Wednesday said it was seeking to permanently close the company, Lexicrom Analytical Laboratory, after a roughly 4-month investigation had uncovered several violations. Lexicrom, based on Long Island, already surrendered its license in June, citing financial woes, and the announcement on Wednesday starts the administrative process that could lead to a public hearing before any penalties can be finalized. The fine against Lexicrom is the biggest non-compliance penalty ever sought by the 4-year-old office, and which oversees the legal cannabis market, including 14 licensed labs responsible for ensuring that the products sold at dispensaries are safe to consume. It comes as the state is investigating several labs over testing irregularities that may have allowed unsafe products to reach consumers. In a quote, "When a lab fails to follow regulatory safety and reporting standards, it violates public trust and puts the health of New Yorkers at risk," said Felicia A.B. Reed. The cannabis agency's acting executive director said in a statement.
Why does she have Colonel Sanders' accent?
It's because you know what? When you read, you can choose your own accents, Jenny Beth. Alex Woodmiss, the chief executive of Lexicrom, a small family-owned facility, hung up on a reporter who called his cell phone seeking comment on Wednesday. With Wednesday's announcement, New York joins other states that have legalized marijuana in cracking down on labs that have provided erroneous results. And last month, Michigan shut down a cannabis testing lab for fraud that was owned by a former state police investigator. The investigation of Lexicrom included 2 visits to the testing facility and an audit of the company's records and practices, state regulators said, and in official findings obtained by the New York Times, investigators accused the company of falsifying test results. After visits to the lab in May, investigators said that Lexicrom was operating in a way that risked the health and safety of consumers. They're not talking about any of these little, mom and pop shops out there, but nonetheless, the company had failed to show that it had procedures in place to ensure accurate and reliable test results, and key company officials did not make themselves available during the visits, according to the investigators. The company also failed to send the cannabis agency copies of test results that it had sent to its clients or keep proper records. And Mr. Woodmass, in a June letter to clients, said the lab had addressed all of the agency's concerns in a corrective action plan, and at the time he told the Times that there was no issue with the reliability of his lab testing. Regulators have recalled a small number of items that Lexicrom had tested, just a small number, huh? But the fate of the remaining products was not disclosed on Wednesday. The company tested millions of dollars worth of products by Stizzy, or as Jenny calls it, Steezy, America's best-selling adult-use cannabis company, which began sales in New York back in February, and those products have been temporarily pulled from shelves in connection with a separate investigation into whether they were made legally. William Nichols, a technical director at BioTrack's testing laboratory, a Buffalo-based company that has raised concerns about other labs' testing practices, said the move by state officials on Wednesday was too little, too late. In a quote, "It doesn't do us any good," he said. "It's showing nothing. You have shut down a lab that is a small player that has surrendered its license, but we still have issues throughout the state. Yet the state hasn't done any enforcement on it," he says. An analysis by the Times of the test results that licensed labs have provided to the state found that some of New York's busiest labs provided questionable results. Discrepancies in cannabis test results are commonplace and consequence of wide variances in testing methods and the practices used to grow and manufacture products. I'd say it's more their testing methods, but nonetheless, the industry is relatively new and there is no scientific consensus about how best to ensure that products are safe. And since marijuana remains illegal federally, states have relied on their own standards, and when enforced, those regulations have led to lab closures and product recalls in at least 10 states. Since June, regulators have recalled 12 batches of cannabis flower that Lexicron tested after some were discovered to contain unsafe levels of pesticides, and 3 of the recalled batches were from East End Flower Farm on Long Island. Marcos Ribeiro, who owns the company with his wife, said in an interview in July that only 1 of the recalled items had been retested and that it failed because of the detection of a tiny amount of ivermectin, which is used to control pests. The other items had already been sold, and 11 additional products were retested and found to be clean, he said in a quote. It's terrible because for us as a cultivator, we think we're doing the right thing by submitting our samples, doing what we're supposed to do, he said. And then all of a sudden we have an issue where apparently things weren't fully tested, or maybe the testing was rushed. His 7-year-old company had used a handful of labs with varying results, and some have sought to court him by offering short turnaround times, which is key for small growers to cut downtime between harvesting and sales. And Mr. Ribeiro said he had sent samples to 2 labs simultaneously and received very different results, and he said he had gone with a 3rd lab instead. He said, "It was just too wild to see," he said. Well. It's the wild, wild west in New York, and I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this. Testing.
Well, let's start out with, I don't like to call it Steezy. The brand who named itself tells people that it is, in fact, Steezy. But yeah, I mean, come on. We know what happens when these test results get all wonky like this, and like, are we surprised? It's just same story, new state.
But there's really 3 problems in producing a safe product. The problem happens at the sampling level, which is not really under the view of the lab. At the testing level, which is under the view of the lab, but there are different testing standard protocols between states and labs, and so that creates some issues. And then finally, there's the nefarious behavior because you're trying to get more customers. So whenever I see testing issues, I look to see where the problems happen. Did it happen in sampling? Did it happen because people are using different testing protocols, or did it happen because this company was just being wrong?
Well, I don't trust any of these labs personally. I think a lot of them are just, they're just there for show, and they're for, there to make people feel better about themselves and offer them, basically a weighted blanket with their COAs. And, I think overall with the lab testing, we get more of a disservice than the actual service, but that's just my overall opinion. We should be focused on testing our food more than we should be worried about testing our weed.
Well, we don't want to get bad. I mean, clearly there are people putting things in it, like Mark reported earlier. So we want to make sure that's not getting. I
get it too, but I mean, that comes from just learning and learning how to identify quality products. And I think probably the people that we need to be the most concerned about are people with with bad immune systems or certain pre-existing conditions overall. But the average person, I mean, this they're gonna figure it out. You can only smoke bad weed for so long until you get an acclimated palate and you're like, oh man, this is terrible. Crickets, you guys? Nothing else to say, huh? Interesting.
And that.
What's that, Jenny?
Oh, nothing. I was just gonna segue you into your ending.
Oh, okay. All right.
I mean, I guess I'll just tag on there. This is a universal problem, state to state. Labs clearly fake results. I'm sure that, you know, they're getting a little extra pay on the flip side for having to do that. It's very common. We've seen it before. It's not something that's unusual. Somebody will pay an extra however much to make sure that test results go through, because there's nothing worse than throwing out 1,000 pounds of weed, right? So,
That's so right.
There's great. My brain is fried today. There's a lot of reason to do that. So, I don't know that there's a good solution for how do we remove the reason for doing this and make it so that companies don't feel like that they have to fake their results to get through.
They could have used better soil. I mean, if they're arguing that it's a bioaccumulator and that some random pesticide or toxin got into the sample and it wasn't really their fault, you're responsible for the soil that you're growing your plants in and what you're putting in them.
Yeah, I mean, it is. The cannabis plant does take like all heavy metals and everything out of the soil. That's definitely true. So whatever you're using, if you're using bad soil, they could think that they're using like a municipal compost, which municipal compost is made with papers with heavy metal inks and all kinds of other stuff that goes into municipal compost. And that stuff is labeled organic too. So it's thought of as this really great product that is organic and that is good for your plants, but really you're just dumping municipal compost into your plants, which is full of all kinds of junk. I mean, just think about what people put in their compost bins at home. They're not thinking about, great stuff. So that's part of the problem for sure. And I mean, here's the only real solution: grow your own, control your own soil, control your own inputs. And you get to choose what you spray on your plant and what you smoke at the end of the day.
Fair enough. Well, this has been a fun show, and thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific and high noon on the East Coast. And big shout out to our audience and supporters for tuning in daily and listening to the insanity that is the developing cannabis industry. Huge thank you to our Catalyst for helping us keep the lights on over here, and thank you to our correspondents for being absolutely amazing. Thank you to Cannabis Sativa L for giving us a reason to do this every day, and Cloud Media partners Elias and Kai are somewhere in the metaverse. And thank you all for tuning in and getting high at 9 with us. We are America's #1 daily cannabis news show.